Hey guys, so I just wanted to briefly talk about something that was asked to me to talk about, um, which was why I felt that mental illness was so taboo in the Black community. So after this video, if you have any comments or you want to, go ahead and add what you feel makes this topic so taboo in the Black community, I would love to hear from you, and I would love to hear whether you agree or disagree. And I really want to start a dialogue about this issue because I feel like it's really interesting. Um, this is something that I've thought about quite often, so I really would love to hear other people's opinions. So let me go ahead and start out by saying that mental illness is not exclusively taboo in the Black community. It is stigmatized throughout society. Um, and it's not a Black problem, it's a human problem. A lot of people are made to feel bad about whatever mental illness they have, and they're meant to feel, ashamed or embarrassed, and that causes them not to get the help that they need, and it only exacerbates the issue. So, first and foremost, it's not just a Black problem, but I do understand that a lot of times Black people in the Black community, it seems to be even more taboo than society itself. So, with that being said, I have a couple of reasons of why I feel like it's so taboo. This is just my own opinion. It's not really, it's fact, but it's not like statistically proven. But I do have a couple of statistics to back up whatever it is. But I'm no expert, so that's why I really want you guys' opinions as well. So I think historically, we've had to really overcome our mental illness for the sake of survival. You look back in the 1700s and the 1800s, you know, if you didn't overcome mentally whatever it is that you were going through, you didn't survive, or you were subject to a more inhumane treatment. And so I feel like a lot of the times that's where the whole tabooness of mental illness has started. I feel like a lot of the times that we as Black people feel as though mental illness is something for white people. We really do equate mental illness with white people. And a lot of the times, when we hear something crazy, we're like, oh, I know they were white. That's a white person thing. Depression, that's for white people. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And I don't know where that lie has started, but it's about time that we stop believing that lie because it's not true at all. It's just the fact that you hear about more about white people and mental illness because I guess they're not necessarily more willing to admit, but it seems as though that, it's easier or they go for help more often than Black people. So by no means is, mental illness just subject to white people at all. And I feel as though Black people, as a Black person, we feel like there's a lot of things that we just can't get, certain things, and no, that's for white people. We don't get that. Like lice. Oh, well, that's for white people. We can't get that. But mental illness is not one of them. And a lot of the times when a Black person does, admit that they need help or they have this type of mental disorder, they're really brushed off. Aside from saying, oh, that's for white people, which I've heard many times, and I can attest to that sevenfold. Um, we're brushed to the side when we say that a lot, and we're told to pray about it. Oh, God can heal you, and we never really address the issue because Black culture in America is so deeply rooted into Christianity. Christian. Why can I say this word? Christianity and religion. And, you know, you wouldn't pray off a broken arm. You would go see a doctor, get a cast, and let it heal. And we don't treat mental illness as a sickness at all. You know, a lot of the times we see it as a weakness more than anything. And we, as Black people, feel that we have to be so strong. You know, a lot of our history is based on strength. And because of that, a lot of times we don't seek the help that we need. And I feel like a lot of Black people go through a lot of traumatizing situations and a lot of things that cause them, you know, depression or post traumatic stress that really affects us, but we don't get the help that we need because, you know, we feel like it's a sign of weakness if we admit that, hey, I need help. Hey, I just really need to talk to somebody. I need to see a therapist. I need some type of medication. And I feel like not only with that, but our support system is weak. When we do finally admit that something is wrong with us, you know, again, the stigmatization in the Black community when it comes to mental disorders and mental illness is so multifaceted. So when we do actually realize, hey, we need help, because it's so stigmatized, you know, we can't reach out to our family members because, you know, for whatever reason, they don't feel like we have a mental disorder or we're just being weak or whatever the case is. So it makes it that much harder because unless we're one of those people that will just be like, you know what, forget it, I'm going to go get help, we just live with it. And again, that exacerbates the issue. I also feel like a lot of the stigma or the reason why mental illness is so taboo in the Black community is just plain lack of education about mental disorders. You know, a lot of behavioral problems dealing with children really stem from their environment. Um, but at the same time, we kind of make up excuses or we really don't know why our children are acting the way they are. A lot of Black people and a lot of Black children are in stressful environments that they can't control, and so therefore they act out um, in regards or as a, you know, response to whatever environment that they're in. And they just, a lot of parents just consider that, you know, bad behavior. They try to, you know, spank them or punish them for acting a certain way when in reality that child really needs help. And a lot of the times they really don't get that help until they're in school and they're labeled as, you know, ADHD, ADD, or, you know, BD, or some type of behavioral disorder. And even then, what happens? They're put on medication or they're put into another class that, you know, is full of more people like them, and the problem still isn't handled correctly. So they grow up and, you know, they never get that help they need, and it just passes down from generation to generation, and the problem is never addressed. So I feel like a lot of it really does have to do with lack of education on mental disorders as well. And also a lack of education about the treatment of mental disorders. A lot of people feel that the only mental disorder treatment is, you know, antidepressants or, you know, any type of medication that you can take by mouth. And a lot of people don't like being on a medication, but they don't know about psychotherapy. They don't know about counseling or cognitive therapy or anything like that. And I feel like if those options were presented more in a, you know, explicit way, then somehow, you know, we can combat some of this mental disorder. But again, I feel like the problem really just stems from certain behaviors being normalized. And so, as a quick answer, that whole 10-minute or so spiel, I feel like that's really the answer to my answer to why I feel like mental disorders and mental illness is so taboo in the Black community. First of all, historically, we're taught that, you have to be strong, you have to overcome whatever problems it is. Black people have one of the hardest lives on the planet, I'd like to believe, a lot of the time. Some of it is inflicted. A lot of it is self-inflicted, actually. But nevertheless, we have this motto saying a white person couldn't last a day in our shoes. And that may or may not be true, but when it comes down to it, what really makes me think is, other than the obvious, race barriers, what else do we have to deal with? Because if another person or another type of person couldn't last in our shoes, really, why is that? What are we doing as Black people, or what do we have as Black people that is making our lives so daggone hard that other people of other races couldn't live in it? But that's just me going on a tangent about something that really doesn't matter right now. But to answer the question of why I think that mental disorders are so taboo in the Black community is, one, it stems from our history. We're normalized to overcome certain barriers, certain obstacles in our lives, and we really have to be mentally tough. And when we're not mentally tough, we're seen as being weak. A lot of times we pride ourselves on strength, but our strength is what's killing us. It's literally killing us. Aside from the obvious normalization, we have this thing called religion. And religion just really, for us, is the end all be all, the answer to everything, when in the case is not. So being religious, we're not sent to, go and get doctors or get a doctor's help because we feel like, oh, if we just pray, it'll be healed, we'll be okay. And that's not the case. Like I said earlier, you wouldn't pray off a broken bone, you'd go get help. Jesus, help me. No pun intended. And we feel as though mental illness is something that we as Black people just do not have. We cannot have that. And we feel like that mental illness is a white problem when, again, it's a human problem. Mental illness does not discriminate against any race, religion, sex, anything. Yes, statistics show that certain groups and certain demographics of people do have a higher occurrence of mental illness, but the point is that no group of people are invincible. So, along with that, the simple lack of education about mental disorders and what they are, how they can really affect your life, and the treatment that goes along with it. So those are basically the reasons why I feel that mental illness has become so taboo. And I never will talk about something without some type of call to action. And I feel like the main thing is, education. Education can solve most of the problems on earth, if not all of them. And I feel like if we discuss what mental illness is, if we really, when we see these behaviors of certain individuals, that we really, suggest that they seek treatment or seek counseling or, go get help. And that goes for all ages, young and old. And I just feel like having that dialogue in whatever setting it may be, church, school, the workplace, I really think that that's a way that we can combat not only the stigmatization in Black communities, but in all communities as well, in just society in general. So those are a couple of reasons why I feel like mental disorders are so taboo in the Black community. I really want to hear what you guys think. I really just talked straight off the dome on this one. So I know that I left out a lot of different reasons. And, if you guys caught that I missed anything, I would love for you guys to comment on this video in the comment blocks and tell me what you guys think. So I will see you guys later. Bye.